So you have to just come up with a slightly more sophisticated way of doing the same thing, of organizing the banking system in such a way that it is not quite as obvious to the public what is really going on. And this brings me to the basic structure of the current financial system. And it goes like this. So now you are looking for the leading bankers in your country and make them your friends. You form a banking cartel. You are not simply buying goods with newly printed money. Instead, you loan out your freshly printed money at interest rates lower than market interest rates. Actually, you can even loan out your money at zero interest. After all, you can create this credit out of thin air. So you don't have to save anything in order to extend a credit to somebody else. You just simply print up the credit and then at very low interest rate, you loan it out to your banker friends. These banker friends, of course, gladly accept your low interest credit and loan this credit out to their main clients. Also at lower rates than market interest rates would normally be. And you even permit your banker friends that they can, on their own, create additional credit on top of the credit that you as a central banker created. Now you realize that this already looks somewhat different. Now it looks not like you are simply buying something to consume. Now it looks like there's really investment going on, that you are really caring about investment rather than your personal consumption and your personal enrichment. Now, what are the consequences of this easy credit policy? To some extent, they are the same as the ones that I explained when it comes to easy money policy. Of course, prices will be higher than they otherwise would be because more money has been brought into existence. Again, there are no more goods that are created by this type of easy credit policy. There are just as many goods in existence as there were before. But again, there's a redistribution of wealth and income taking place in society. You earn interest on your credit that you created without any cost. Your friends, the bankers, also earn interest on credits that they received at almost zero cost from you, the central banker. But everything is somewhat less obvious what is going on, and everything looks more like a long-term investment rather than an open and obvious fraud. But there's also some difference between the easy money policy, as I described it first, and this easy credit policy that I'm talking about right now. And this difference explains why the income redistribution takes on a slightly different form than it does with an easy money policy, namely the form of a boom-bust cycle. Now, first, recall some very elementary insight. A credit taker, somebody who takes a credit, takes this credit in the expectation that he will be able to repay the credit, that he will be able to pay the interest that he must pay for the credit, and that he will make on top of the interest an additional profit. Otherwise, he simply would not take the credit. And the person who gives the credit expects that he will receive the credit back and that he will be paid an interest on the credit. Otherwise, he would not be someone who grants a credit to another person. Now, before this background, now I want to show in a step-by-step fashion the consequences of an easy credit policy. Again, recall, easy credit policy is credit is created out of thin air without previous savings, just by printing up additional notes and offering these notes in the form of credit. As a central banker, you can create the credit, as I said, out of nothing. Actually, practically speaking, at zero cost. You do not have to save first in order to extend a credit. Because of this, you can always undercut the market interest rate. And if everything works well, you earn an interest income, and if things do not work out well, you can always cover your losses by simply printing up additional sums of money. Interest rate. So you can, by granting credit to people, be very generous. You can be very undiscriminatory, so to speak. You don't really have to look carefully, is this person really credit-worthy that I'll extend the credit to? Is that really justified in view of the risk attached with certain projects or not? You don't have to find out, is a person credit-worthy? Are the projects that the credit taker wants to engage in likely successful or not successful? Because you are in a position to survive even wrong decisions, because losses can be always recovered by printing money. You grant these credits first to your friends, and they then pass on these credits again at extremely low rates to their main clients. And the banks and also the main clients of the main banks, of course, know that if something really goes wrong in their investment projects, then they can always rely on you, the central banker, that you will bail them out. So they engage in projects that you would not normally engage in if you knew nobody will bail me out ever. Nobody can bail me out. If you know you will be bailed out, you can be bailed out, you engage in projects that normal people would not possibly engage in. So now we come to the decisive points. Again, recall, the number of goods, producer goods and consumer goods that is in existence is not changed at all by engaging in these types of easy credit policies. But there are more and more risky credit takers than otherwise would be the case. They have now more money and they draw more of the existing production factors and consumer goods onto them and bid them away from the hands of other people. There is a redistribution, so to speak, of production factors taking place, going into the hand of increasingly risky projects done by less credit-worthy individuals. There are more investment projects underway which are expected to generate a future flow of income. And of course, everyone expects to be successful with their investments. The prices of goods rise, more money has been brought into existence, wages begin to rise, consumer goods prices will begin to rise, and this is what we call the boom phase. Everybody is expecting things will go well, more investment projects are going on than before, and there is general optimism. Now the question is, can this all turn out well? Are these expectations that all investors have, of course, in the end, I will be successful, I will be able to repay principal, I will be able to pay interest, and I'll make a profit on top of it. Are these expectations justified? Can they all conceivably be right? Or is there some sort of illusion involved? Of course, this does not mean that every investment will go right, but can they, on the average, be all right? And the answer to this question is a decisive no. They cannot all possibly turn out to be successful investments. The belief that they can is based on an illusion which is, so to speak, in contradiction to the nature of things. This illusion is based on the false assumption that you can produce something out of nothing, or that you can produce more without having any additional production factors. And this is obviously not possible. You cannot produce something out of nothing, and you cannot produce more of goods without having with having just the same quantity of production factors that you had before. And I'll explain that in a little bit in a moment in greater detail. And since this is impossible, we can predict that these illusions will have to clash after some temporal delay with reality, and that there has to result in supernormal or supranormal number of errors and business failures as a consequence of this easy credit policy.